York State Assembly will be releasing information about its investigation into Governor Andrew Cuomo's alleged misconduct later this month. This is after New York Attorney General Letitia James released the conclusion of the state's investigation that found Cuomo sexually harassed multiple women and violated state law. Bethesda, Maryland Attorney Jessica Sommer joins us now to talk about workplace sexual harassment and much more. Good morning to you, Jessica. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Jeanette. Thanks for having me today.
Of course. I want to, given your expertise and your experience, I want to get just your general reaction to the allegations against Governor Cuomo.
Yeah, I think what we're seeing is a really important lesson for both employers and employees. And the bottom line is sexual harassment can occur in any workplace. We really saw Cuomo holding himself out as a champion of women, really progressive policy, and yet this was supposedly happening in his workplace. So it is really important to understand that this is something we all need to be cognizant of no matter where we work.
I think it's also important to talk about what is the definition of sexual harassment, right? Because I think people might have different definitions, but there is one that is factual and in fact, a legal term, a definition rather. What is sexual harassment?
Yeah, so as you said, it is difficult to pinpoint, but from a legal perspective, sexual harassment comes in sort of two different breeds. We have what we call sexual harassment. That's sort of the traditional type of exchanging or rejecting a sexual favor or conduct as a condition of employment. So someone conditioning a promotion on a sexual favor. The one that's much more difficult for us to work with and to navigate is what's called hostile work environment harassment. And that's where we have someone who's engaging in sexual conduct that's pervasive and severe enough that it is progressively making someone's job basically unsustainable, or it's changing the nature and environment of their job.
You know, Jessica, one of the concerns that victims or survivors of sexual harassment have is, I might report it, it's one thing for nothing to be done, but then retaliation is also a very real concern. What can folks do if they find themselves in that situation?
Yeah, retaliation is a very big concern, and we see time in, time out, every year the EEOC, the top charge that they receive is of retaliation. So it's really important for employees to make sure that they're working with counsel and people they trust to make sure that they're navigating the process in the best way for them. It's also really important for employers to make sure that once you finish the process, if you do the right thing as an employer, you're not throwing that employee back into the shark pool. You're actually making sure that there's a smooth transition for that employee who's made the sexual harassment complaint, so that there aren't repercussions for them having made that complaint.
I'm curious. There's always been a lot of talk about, make sure this is outside of sexual harassment, but including it, document, right, your interaction with your bosses. If you can have something in writing, that's better, just in case. How does that apply to sexual harassment? Is there a way to document things so that it's not a he said, she said?
Absolutely. And we're seeing more and more that a lot of the sexual harassment complaints are coming out of, or at least partially based on, electronic communication. So whether that's emails or text messages, making sure that you as an employee are paying attention to what types of documents you have and are retaining them so that they aren't accidentally being archived or deleted. And then also keeping a record for yourself. If you experience something, keeping note of who is a potential witness to something that actually occurred in person if it's not already documented. Critically important.
Absolutely. And lastly here, I said he said, she said, but anyone can be the victim. It could be he said, she said, right? And I want you to emphasize that point as well, that it's kind of genderless, right?
That is very true, very true. Anyone can be a victim of sexual harassment. Last year, 17% of sexual harassment complaints were filed by men. Also really important to understand, it's not just your colleagues that can sexually harass you. It's anyone you come in contact with during your work day. So whether it's a customer, a vendor, someone else that you encounter in the course of your work, your employer has the obligation to protect you from sexual harassment from those individuals.
All right, very important tips you passed along. Jessica, Attorney Jessica Summers, appreciate your time this morning and insight. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.